Block number 7, the forgotten shooter, Zell Munna. Isn't he the one that took his life?
Contains themes of violence, death, and gang activity. This video is an educational documentary. It does not intend to glorify, incite, or encourage illegal behavior. All of the information is taken from public sources and is shown on the basis of fair use. I've made every effort to ensure accuracy of the sources, but I am not responsible for any content third parties have published. Every effort has been made to censor this video in accordance with YouTube's community guidelines, but if you want to see an uncut version of this video, you can do so on patreon.com/traplawross. But if you're not interested in that, just hit the subscribe button and prepare to hear one of the craziest stories ever told. When legendary Chicago rapper FBG Duck was gunned down in the summer of 2020, the streets of Chicago were alight with theories about who might have been responsible. However, for anybody that had been following the drill scene closely, the culprits were obvious. It was only a matter of months before drill YouTubers like Chicago Scene 88
telling who killed Doug 8 months ago on C-Thing, Instant Live, Muwap C-Thing, Zell, and DQ.
The culprits were obvious.
Nah, DQ was
It was only a matter of months before drill YouTubers like Chicago
time.
Scene 88 had cracked the case and put forward accurate theories of exactly who was involved, pinpointing a handful of gangsters from O Block, better known as Parkway Gardens, a public housing complex with historical ties to Chicago's Black Disciples street gang. And more importantly, the stomping grounds of infamous gang assassin turned drill rapper King Von. It would take over a year for the FBI to piece together the case, identifying all the shooters that had fired the shots that took FBG Duck's life. Unfortunately, King Von would end up being killed for unrelated reasons before he could face justice for his role in calling the hit on Duck. But in his absence, 6 members of the O Block street gang would find themselves facing charges in relation to the murder, and ultimately all being found guilty, facing a lifetime in jail. The group of 6 men who went down for Duck's murder would become known infamously in Chicago as the O Block 6. However, what a lot of people don't know is that there was a 7th man there that day shooting at Duck. However, while some of the shooters were proud of being involved in one of Chicago's most high-profile gang hits, this particular person would ultimately fold under the pressure. Apparently using drugs to cope with the pain, getting completely out of their mind in an attempt to blank out what they had done. With things even getting so bad, one rumor would spread that they wound up in the hospital so out of their mind on dope that they would tell everyone exactly what they did. But in the end, faced with a heartbreaking personal life mind on dope...
Bruh, this dude wrote a whole fucking paragraph that a lot of people in Sharkology probably read. This shit got 2 upvotes, bro. You cannot, like, say this shit is fucking real, bro. Like, this is what I hate, bro. We take shit like this. Like, it sounds good. I could write this whole shit about some random New York drill. Since I know a lot about New York drill, I could write some shit like this on fucking whatever read that shit called, and fucking it'll get a whole bunch of uploads. Doesn't make it real, bro.
But they would tell everyone exactly what they did. But in the end, faced with a heartbreaking personal life and the impending doom of knowing the feds were only a few steps behind, this person would ultimately take an easier way out, choosing to take themselves out before the authorities or their ops did. This is the tragic story of Zell Munna, O Block's number 7. Zell Rules, aka Zell Munna, is from the notorious Parkway Gardens projects, better known by drill fans as O Block. Famously labeled as the most dangerous block in Chicago by the Chicago Sun-Times, these days O Block's reputation speaks for itself, with an elaborate list of rappers, hitters, gangsters, and killers being associated with the area. Zell Munna was not just the average resident of O Block either, as he comes from a family lineage of many notable gangsters from the area. Zell Munna is actually blood cousins of the infamous O Block assassin T-Roy, as well as his brothers, fellow O Block hitter HK, aka Headshot King, and Slutty. Pictures can even be found of Zell and his 2 brothers, Eli and Mario, throwing up gang signs when they were just kids. In one throwback video, the younger Zell Munna can actually be seen holding T-Roy's son and bonding with him. Zell would even ask T-Roy's son to recite the phrase made popular by his father, "Scoom scoom," with the little boy claiming he also doesn't like oppers.
Scoom, scoom, scoom. He don't like oppers. Say, bitch. Gang. Say, you can, if you ain't gang, you can't hang. Gang. Say, you ain't gang.
Run up on me, I will shoot you. No problem. I will shoot you. Yes, I will. So if you see me, it ain't no leave me the alone. You don't know if I was on your way, cause I ain't gonna get the mother, looking at you and none of that I'm just gonna scorn you, damn it. Scorn. RP my brothers, man. Scorn gang. Bro, we stretch gang, scorn gang.
T-Roy was an infamous savage from O Block and was the best friend of Chicago drill legend King Von. and it's believed that T-Roy was actually a huge inspiration to King Von and even taught him a lot of things about moving in the streets, with these two allegedly going on numerous hits together. King Von's Instagram profile would even have T-Roy's picture as his profile pic, and Von would famously go by the nickname V-Roy after T-Roy's passing, an infamous nickname for Von, which his close friend Lil Durk actually even had adorned in a diamond pendant in honor of his fallen brother. Now, many Reddit threads can be found discussing the legend of T-Roy and his allegedly high body count, but this video isn't about that. But if one thing was for certain, T-Roy was beloved in O-Block amongst its members. Sadly, his life would be cut short on the 14th of February 2017, when T-Roy was tragically shot dead inside of a convenience store by a man named TB from a rival gang called Taekwon World. Allegedly, that very same day, T-Roy himself was actually out looking to kill TB, but he ended up getting caught first. In reaction to his death, O-Block and their closest affiliate, 600, would form together as a group called O-Block 600 or OB600, and making a pact to get revenge for T-Roy's killing. And this collective would engage in a brutal killing spree all throughout 2017 under the gang's new name, Get Back Gang, killing as many as 7 people between May and September, including Lil Ho, Jamo, just 1 week later, Poppy, who was TB's closest friend, as well as a woman named White Girl and her innocent friend, FBG Duck's brother FBG Brick and their friend Kobe Mack, eventually culminating in the murder of TB himself. This spree of murder would even see HK, or Headshot King, T-Roy's blood brother, and the cousin of Zell Munna, first-handedly avenging T-Roy when he allegedly caught and shot TB from Taekwon World, killing him on the 26th of December 2017. But unfortunately, karma would strike the family, and just 2 months later, on the night of the 24th of November, HK would end up being killed in an unrelated robbery gone wrong, shockingly inside Parkway Gardens, but completely unrelated to any kind of gang activity. In this incident, HK would suffer multiple gunshot wounds to the body after trying to rob a man who was visiting O-Block, who opened fire in self-defense, unfortunately leaving HK pronounced dead at the hospital. The two brothers, T-Roy and HK, would be stamped as legends in O-Block for their allegiance and loyalty to the gang, as well as the many people that they allegedly killed. These two would be referenced numerous times in famous songs by people like King Von, including the infamous track Back Again, where Prince Dre raps, "Long live baby boy, T-Roy, can't forget Heck." Following HK or Heck's death, many people would actually refer to Zell Munna as Baby Heck, but losing two brothers to gang violence could already be enough to emotionally break any young man. But to make things even more brutal, T-Roy's murder would be caught on surveillance cameras inside of the convenience store where he was killed. This footage would capture his struggle after the shooting as he would attempt to crawl to safety, ultimately bleeding out on camera. And the footage of this incident was spread all over social media and can nowadays be found with a pretty easy Google search. Both brothers were popular and famous members of their gang, known for their violence. So naturally, after they died, they would be mocked mercilessly by their enemies, both on social media and in music, with all of this understandably having an adverse effect on Zell Munna's mental health throughout these formative years, something that would likely push him even deeper into the streets as the years went on. Now, considering who his cousins were, T-Roy and HK, Zell had a savage reputation to live up to. Along with that, several enemies from different gangs would constantly mock his brother's death, likely enticing him to want to retaliate, with FBG Duck being particularly aggressive when it came to making music that disrespected T-Roy and HK. But thankfully for Zell, he still had two biological brothers, Lil Eli and Lil Mario, to look out for him. Commenters on Reddit would actually acknowledge just how bad things have been for this family over the years, with the numerous members who have lost their lives, and apparently the trauma amongst these siblings goes so much deeper, as apparently Eli's first girlfriend was even killed right in front of him. It would seem that this family is almost cursed, or more realistically, just a textbook example of how dangerous and volatile growing up into the south side of Chicago really is. Now, Lil Mario, aspiring rapper, director, and YouTube creator with music videos and vlogs depicting him around O-Block being seen on his channel, as well as featuring notable members from O-Block like Muwop, E-Dog, DQ, and many more. But regardless of the horrible losses this family seemed to be taking over the years, over time, Zell would attempt to get a legitimate job to keep himself out of the streets and make some honest money, but unfortunately, bad luck would follow him there too. As at age 17, Zell was being employed by a local Popeyes restaurant. However, his affiliation to O-Block and his family ties likely made him a prime target for rival gangs who would now have the exact location of him when he was at work. On the 9th of December 2019, Zell was actually shot in the arm during his shift at Popeyes. Apparently, while Zell was taking the garbage out the back of the restaurant, he spotted two individuals in a nearby alley and ended up getting into an argument with them. The police would say one of the individuals opened fire, hitting Zell in the arm.
This shooting happened just around 6:30 tonight, and it sounds like it was some sort of a fight between the victim and two people who had left the restaurant. The victim now here in the hospital, shot in the arm. Chicago police say two men left the Popeyes restaurant at 74th and Stony Island and were walking northbound into an alley across across the street when they got into a verbal altercation with the victim. This employee, who we are told was taking garbage out to the dumpsters at the time. Police say one of the men fired shots at the 17-year-old from that alley into the parking lot. The restaurant was full of people at the time, and there were several cars in the drive-thru.
It was just loud enough to where I knew it was very close. So I ducked down as good as I could. I was still looking through the windows, but nervous, and I did see a gentleman running into the restaurant. It was just scary. You know, you go out to grab some food, long day of work, just want to grab a simple meal and go home, and someone starts shooting, and before you know it, you're stuck.
Now, Zell would fortunately survive this incident, posting images of his recovery to Facebook. However, with all of this pressure coming from the streets and his family's reputation, it wouldn't take long for Zell to get more and more involved in the streets, eventually becoming a prominent member of a new gang made up of younger members hailing from O Block called the Jado Jump Out Gang. And as time went on, Zell would get deeper and deeper involved. This set was essentially a group of teenage boys from the area who were set on making a name for themselves by any means necessary, with it even being believed this was the younger generation of gangsters that were below Get Back Gang, that crew who were made up of O Block members who set out to avenge T-Roy's murder. Now, the name Munna is actually a common phrase that's added to the end of their names, with people like Zell Munna or Munna Mond, and even Jado going by the name Jado Munna. Now, notable members of the Jado Jump Out Gang include C-Thang, Big Woney, Munna Mond, Lil Mike, and Zell Munna. Zell was apparently even listed as a known shooter in the crew under a Reddit post all about the set. Jado Jump Out Gang, or the Jado Jump Out Boys, JJB, was actually formed after respected and beloved member Jado was murdered on February the 8th, 2020. Jado was killed walking on the 3800 block of South Cottage Avenue, allegedly whilst on his way to meet up with a female. When a green BMW would pull up, somebody hopped out and shot at Jado, hitting him in the leg, hand, and the head, and he was sadly pronounced dead minutes after arriving at the University of Chicago Medical Center. Several shots were fired, likely from an automatic weapon, as the police would place 14 evidence markers at the scene, and the incident report actually states that Jado's murder was even possibly caught on surveillance cameras, with him dying with a pistol on his waist, likely being shot so fast that he didn't even get a chance to draw and shoot back. Allegedly, Jado was even set up by a female who was leading him into an enemy turf and getting him ambushed, as confirmed by one of Jado's closest friends, O Block Big Woney. Boss Top would also mention Jado's death, alluding to him being set up when he rapped on the track Don't Tweak that Jado got opped by a bitch, so you know it ain't no love in these streets. Jado was apparently loved by all generations within O Block, and a rumor was spread that Jado was actually DQ's under brother, but this was apparently debunked by O Block J Hood. Apparently Jado was a very advanced thinker for his age too, and instead of following the elders in O Block, he actually chose to make his own collective and was seen as the leader of his batch. And due to the respect that he got from elders in O Block, he was indeed given the green light to create his own crew, with this crew being named the Jump Out Boys, and the moniker JJB for Jado Jump Out Boys being popularized after his death, with the existing members of this crew opting to stick together and continue carrying the torch in the absence of Jado's leadership. Jado was very close friends with Zell Munna, and the two had even been pictured together on numerous occasions, and Jado clearly had a lot of love in his community. While he was alive, he would even take the time to do charitable efforts, actually giving away groceries in front of O Block, with Redditors sharing their approval for this in the comments and suggesting that he was the rare example of a gangster who still gave back to his people, with one user highlighting how the media only ever want to paint O Block as gangsters and shooters, but this was a rare example of something positive being done. And you can't say I didn't bring it up either. But funnily enough, Jado was also a hardcore fan of the rapper NBA Youngboy, something that would be massively controversial today, considering how much tension there is between O Block and Youngboy's 4K Trey crew following the events surrounding King Von's death. Now, Jado would actually post several Facebook statuses shouting out Youngboy, and would even go back and forth with Big Woney from O Block about who was the better rapper and gangster, Youngboy or Fredo Bang. Members in Chiracology would even share that after learning a lot about Jado and how beloved he was in the community, they wish that he got the recognition he deserved before he passed away, something that Jado himself seemed to agree with and posting to Facebook, with Big Woney sharing to Instagram that Jado's killer is actually still alive and they plan on hitting him where it hurts. Many discussions have surfaced online regarding who exactly was responsible for Jado's murder, however nothing can be confirmed definitively. But in one back and forth with Boss Top from O Block and Measle from FBG or BCR, he insinuated that their gang might have been behind it. However, many have also speculated that Taekwon World, the group who were responsible for killing T-Roy, might have been responsible for killing Jado too, with many hints being posted online by that gang. One being notable Taekwon World member D Money, who went live 45 minutes after Jado's murder, saying things like Jado got smoked and that they're spinning 5 cars deep.
Look, Jado got his smoke, and we still spinning like 5 cars deep, no doubt.
D Money would also post himself and Taekwon World members at a local gas station soon after Jado's murder, and after sharing a story mocking his death and saying that they were backdoor gang. Taekwon World 2 times would also add to the self-incrimination, posting a story showing the amount of cars that the gang were apparently spinning in, and saying F J-Do just an hour after he was killed.
Man, cars deep in that bitch. We got like six boxes in that bitch, man. Oh, fold up, man. J-Do, man. J-Do, man.
It's just like, I'll be seeing the crazy shit that happened like 10 years ago with the Chicago shit, but it's like, bro, motherfuckers just got way more bolder, and motherfuckers is still not getting locked up for shit.
Don't push the stars, man. Stop playing.
Shit crazy, bro. They really don't care.
Here we go. Hey, hop in that.
Following his death, JJB would become very active in the streets, honing themselves a feared reputation as expected from a younger generation of O-Block members. JJB member C-Thang would actually post himself lurking on Taekwon World territory, looking for ops and attempting to get revenge for J-Do just days after his murder, showing himself toting a handgun in front of the EBT Eberhard Avenue road sign.
Hey, this the second time. On the gas, this the second time we've been out on y'all. This the second time. Pop out, man. What the fuck, man? This the second time we on y'all block, bro. What the fuck is going on? Pop out.
The main target for JJB seemed to be a Taekwon World member called D-Money, with all the Instagram stories he posted after the murder, as well as this post, leading many people to believe that he was indeed J-Do's killer. It was as if D-Money wanted it to be known in the whole area that he killed J-Do, and D-Money would continue moving wild, even at one point posting himself walking through Parkway Gardens, shortly after an innocent man was gunned down, allegedly by D-Money.
Bruh. They walking in these shit.
With him later apparently even begging a YouTuber to take down the video that had actually showed him in O-Block. But the craziest thing about this case is the fact that no one was ever charged for this murder, despite all the self-incrimination going on. But even if the cops weren't on top of it, the J-Do Jump Out boys were, taking note and keeping track of all of the disrespect aimed towards their dead friend. And ultimately, on the 15th of May 2021, D-Money would get caught off guard while he was walking his dog on the 1300 block of East Marquette Road when somebody opened fire, hitting him allegedly 20 times. The brutal amount of shots fired, likely an indication of just how much hatred these younger members had for D-Money, to the point that they had to shoot 20 times to make sure they got the job done. The next day, Zell Munna would even go live from O-Block, with him and the gang being in very high spirits. Now, many people suspect JJB Lil Mike to have been responsible for D-Money's murder, partly because he can be seen in Zell's live after the killing wearing DQ's O-Block chain, with many comments suggesting that a senior member allowing a younger shooter to wear such an important chain was likely a sign that he had truly proven himself, as King Von had all of these O-Block chains made specifically,
really crazy,
giving them
bro. It's like the mafia shit, bro.
out to only the most serious members coming out of O-Block.
Like
many people also believe that Munna Mond might have been the second shooter in this incident, as he himself has left many clues on the internet hinting at his possible involvement, such as one post on his story shortly after the murder saying "flame him" with dog emojis, likely a reference to the fact that D-Money was killed walking his dog. He would also go live saying "catch a op" hit him 20 times repeatedly, the exact number of times that D-Money was shot.
You catch a op, you hit him 20 times on Fulham Graves. Catch a op, hit him 20 times.
And Munna Mond would also hint at his involvement in music too. On one track from his album, Jackin' for J-Do, he raps, "His dog, I made him a day, late night, we gonna creep where he stay, overkill, you know it."
I just like it sound crazy, but like, I'm just, yeah.
It's DOA.
That's a crazy ass name for your fucking title.
I made him a day, late night, we gonna creep where he stay, overkill, you know it's DOA. Unfortunately, JJB would have their own internal turmoil in the years following, with Munna Mond ultimately doing the unthinkable in 2022, as he himself would end up killing an older O-Block member called A-Roy after a fistfight that was actually captured on camera, when A-Roy can be seen standing over Munna Mond beating him up, when he stops, with Munna standing up, drawing his gun and shooting A-Roy multiple times before running away. Since this incident,
and I ain't gonna lie, didn't the girl that recorded this end up getting jumped or some shit, or some crazy shit happened to her because she recorded it and posted it?
Been serious tension between the younger and older generations of O-Block, with the older generation siding with A-Roy and the younger generation siding with Munna, despite a supposed apology. However, recently Munna Mond has been seen back in O-Block filming more music videos.
So Munna Mond they recorded this man killing A-Roy in O-Block, and bro still got out?
This whole thing is really crazy considering the fact that he may well have literally killed someone broad day on video, yet is still free filming videos and making music. But anyway, as you can tell from these stories, the younger generation of O-Block are just as dangerous and vengeful as the older generation, and Zell Munna was clearly involved in a serious crew who were out making a name for themselves and drilling in the name of their fallen leader Jado. However, it would be in the summer of 2020 when Zell Munna truly made a name for himself in both generations of his gang, when he participated in possibly the most infamous hit job in Chicago drill history, killing one of the leading figures in Chicago rap in broad daylight, FBG Duck. Less than a month after releasing the disrespectful track Dead Bitches, where FBG Duck mocked the fallen O-Block member T-Roy extensively, on August 4th, 2020, Duck was in the designer shopping district of the Gold Coast in downtown Chicago, on Oak Street, right in front of the Dolce & Gabbana store. After getting a phone call from a man called TZ, alerting them that Duck was in the area, members from O-Block would make a move, traveling with two cars
Y'all seen T-Slick died?
full of members, a 30-minute drive from O-Block to downtown, arriving to the Gold Coast, where O-Block members would jump out the car and gun down FBG Duck in broad daylight. Now, the facts of the murder and the arrest have been covered previously in great detail on this channel, long before the trial even took place. But now, as the O-Block 6 trial has fully concluded, many people have focused on the details of the people involved in that trial. C. Murder was found guilty on 5 counts as a shooter, as well as driver Kenny Mack and the other driver Los, with C-Thang from the Jado Jump Out Boys being found guilty on 3 counts as a shooter, TZ, who actually called the shooter, being guilty on 2 counts, and finally O-Block veteran Muwop being found guilty on 5 counts as one of the shooters. However, many people might not be aware of that 7th shooter, with that man being Zell Munna from the Jado Jump Out Boys, jumping out the car that day and firing bullets at FBG Duck too. In fact, FBG Butter, who later cooperated in the trial against Duck's killers, would actually...
I really think Chicago just, like, the murder rate is so high, because, like, I watched The Wire, and, like, the police department and, like, detectives and shit, like, they get, like, breathed down their neck by the state and shit, because they want all, like, the murder rates to drop, and, like, they want that shit low. But I feel like nowadays, like, it was so high back then, where nowadays it's good to be, oh, we only got 300 murders, or like, I don't know what the stats are, like, but it's, like, so low now compared to back then, where they're like, oh, we just don't give a fuck, bro. We just gonna let them kill each other and shit, and just don't overpopulate the jails and prisons. That's just what it is, I feel like, bro.
Claimed in a Vlad TV interview that Zell had even got himself shot at the scene of the crime and left his gun and some blood at that scene.
Don't forget Zell got hit, gang. Everybody forgetting that this girl hit Zell, gang.
She shot back?
Well, yeah, when she shot back, he got hit and dropped his gun. And found the bullet with his blood.
He would even allude to his involvement in this incident in a live session with his ops.
Why are you tagging us?
Show your face, man. On phone them. Show your face, man.
And why is your
show your face? You scared of me? You scared of me, bro? Show your face.
Ask Duck about that FM. Ask Duck about that FM.
Oh, stop.
Ask Duck about that FM.
Oh, you scared of me, bro?
Ask Duck about that FM.
Photos of an apparent early version of the indictment have circulated, which also lists Zell as one of the shooters. Allegedly, Zell Munna was the man who shot victim 1, according to ballistics, and now that the CCTV footage has been released of the shooting itself, it's possible to even point out Zell specifically in the footage, with him seemingly being the man stood behind Muwop, who would be the first shooter to jump out the car, approaching Duck and opening fire and hitting him multiple times in the back, with Zell following behind, shooting in light-coloured pants. After the hit, many members of O-Block would brag about their involvement in the murder, letting the whole world know what they'd done. On January the 27th, 2021, Zell and C-Thang go live dissing dead ops and rapping about hopping out of cars and shooting, and another about chasing ops like Duck Duck Goose.
I'm not no rapper, I'm a shooter. I'll shoot you in your shit. We got blicks 4 deep in them hot cars, them sticks. See the op, jump out, hit them all up in this shit. Boss man can't come around cause it's a rat here. Pop out, like Duck Duck Goose.
At a certain point, it seems like these guys got some kind of sick sadistic satisfaction out of seeing people in the IG comments say that they knew that they killed Duck. In this live, they asked the viewers to name all of their dead ops like it was a game, saying specifically that they're ducking no bodies.
Trust me, say all ops, man. Name all the dead ops, man. Name they. And we ain't ducking nobody. Name they. Name all the ops that's dead.
On January the 30th, 2021, C-Thang goes live where he's forced to address numerous comments regarding the rumors that he and his O-Block homies killed Duck.
Now look at him, he a fucking snitch. Look at him.
Regarding the rumors,
he a fucking cop. You killed Duck? Question mark. How about Muwop and Duke and Can't Get Right?
He and his O-Block homies killed Duck.
Never did nothing for nobody. I don't know why y'all keep saying that lame shit. I never did nothing to nobody. Never did nothing to nobody. I'm a good boy. Man, look, man, y'all on some real police shit, man. You to my boy, look. Yeah, tell him, yeah, I'm really not a rapper. I'm just doing this for the money. I just want the money out there. It just gotta be gangster on that. That's it. Talk gangster. No capping that shit.
Now, for the record, during this live, C-Thang looks completely strung out off lean, whilst parading a bottle of wok on the screen. I mean, this live just goes to show you the mind state that these alleged killers were in at this point, numbing their pain with drugs, and struggling to live with the reality that they had ended up in, knowing that their days are numbered. And he wasn't the only one. In April, Zell Munna goes live in O Block with Lil Reese, and during this live, he shows off a bunch of pills and drink, again seemingly numbing the pain of what he's been through and possibly of what's to come.
Yerks and weed and we don't got yerks on there. If you want yerks, call Geek. That's clean. That's fine.
In fact, there's even a moment in this live where Zell sings along to a King Von lyric about having bodies, catching himself and then looking off camera suddenly.
Best fuck bodies I got.
But don't get it mistaken, he's still all over this live dissing dead ops.
Fuck Terry Berry, Poppy and Brick.
Now, with King Von gone and many of the remaining O Block members hoping to make a go of it in the rap game, it seems they'd all decide to just try and diss dead people to kickstart their careers and get clout for being real gangsters. But weirdly, one account on Instagram seemed to have possibly solved the murder of Duck's death within days of it happening. Chillingly, this was an Instagram account pretending to be Zell Munna. Zell's real Instagram handle is 6munna_Zell4, but an account started impersonating him with the name 6munna_Zell4. One user on Reddit believes that the FBI may well have actually been creating fake Instagram accounts, pretending to be the killers of Duck in order to instigate members into talking about the murder or admitting guilt publicly. This fake account began revealing information about the case that wasn't publicly known at the time, with one piece of information being the weapon and ammunition used in the hit, with this page commenting about FN pistols with blue-tip bullets that were used to kill Duck. Now, months after this ordeal, the FBI would actually release the facts about the case, including the type of weapon and bullets used. On one Instagram live session with FBG Meezy, the fake account can be seen taunting Meezy in the comments with questions like, "Ask Duck about that FN," and Duck couldn't take that FN. Creepily, the real Zell Munna was even watching along in the comments, commenting himself to clarify that there was another fake account impersonating him, revealing details of the hit. Commenters on this post would add how there were multiple accounts at this time revealing information that wasn't known to the public, possibly in an effort to spook Duck's real killers, even adding value to the theory as FN guns are way more expensive and harder to obtain than usual guns used in gangland killings, a detail which seems far too specific to have just guessed. And further examples of these fake accounts would continue rolling in. In February 2021, before the information went public, one commenter on C-Thang's live would comment, "Muwop, C-Thang, Zell, and DQ killed Duck." This was a shockingly accurate list of names, however, to be fair, DQ was never implicated in the crime. Ultimately, however, as time was going on, people were slowly working out exactly who was involved in the hit on Duck. However, at the time of the hit, members of O Block were at least working under the guidance and leadership of King Von. However, only a couple of months after Duck was gunned down, Von would wind up getting killed too. Ironically, for reasons that had nothing to do with the gang war in his neighborhood. On the 6th of November 2020, King Von would start a fight with Savannah rapper Quando Rondo, likely because Quando was signed to NBA.
I ain't gonna lie, I swear, like half of Trap Lil Rose's content is fucking Youngboy or fucking Chicago, whatever. O Block, 600, Lil Durk, Youngboy, Quando. What happened the night Von died? I swear, bro.
Who Von was having.
Like, he's made 7 videos on Quando and fucking Youngboy and fucking either King Von or his block.
An ongoing feud with.
I swear he mentioned every video.
Despite being one of Chicago's most feared shooters, Von didn't seem to think ahead, and after swinging on Quando Rondo, he would ultimately end up being faced with one of Savannah's most feared shooters, Quando's best friend Lil Tim, with Tim shooting King Von multiple times, causing him to fall to the ground. And that night, Von was rolling with Slutty, Zell's cousin, the brother of T-Roy and HK. Slutty would be armed that night, and he would open fire on Lil Tim after King Von was shot. But after a few shots, his gun would jam, and unfortunately for him, waiting nearby were police officers who witnessed the shootout going on, and Slutty attempting to execute Lil Tim with this jammed gun. The police likely saw him holding the gun, and fearing for their own lives, the police would ultimately end up opening fire on both Slutty and another one of their friends from O Block, Louis, killing Slutty and seriously injuring Louis, all while King Von and Quando Rondo continued wrestling on the ground. In the end, Zell's cousin Slutty would be killed by the police after he had attempted to save King Von from Lil Tim's bullets. One video was uploaded.
Wait, 3 people died? I thought it was just Slutty and Von. And then Louis was the one that was in critical, right?
To Reddit that even explained the order of events, pointing out that Slutty was just a moment away from killing Lil Tim when his gun jammed. And again, this was all captured on CCTV footage from outside the venue where King Von was attempting to enter and Quando was leaving. And just like with T. Roy's murder, the footage of this incident would...
Yeah, Slutty died by a cop. Von died to Tim, and then Louis was the one that almost died.
Would eventually make its way to the internet too. As Von was such a monumental figure, obviously his death would attract a lot of attention.
Was one of 3 people shot and killed. Did someone know that?
As people all across the world would begin grieving his loss. Whereas Slutty, Zell's cousin, died whilst protecting Von, but didn't really get much attention for his actions that night, with many articles merely mentioning him as an afterthought, but not really real.
Yeah, King Von manager, Tim, and I feel like someone else on O-Block's side.
Realizing how deep things really got that night. But ultimately, this was another devastating loss to thought, but not really.
Louis is still alive and currently in critical condition. This reported that Louis and another member, Slutty, had been killed. Okay, so yeah, Louis was pronounced dead, but he was good.
Really realizing how deep things really got that night. But ultimately, this was another devastating loss to Zell, who had now lost all 3 of his cousins. And to make matters worse, being tormented by having to see the viral footage of Von's murder, just like was the case with T. Roy. With all of this going on then, it's no surprise that Zell must have been suffering mentally during this time, and soon he would find himself out of his depth, strung out on substances, and allegedly telling the whole world about the dark crimes that he'd been involved in.
Zell's hospital.
After the FBI's investigation was underway, one particularly wild rumor would spread that Zell Munna had taken pills and experienced overdose symptoms. And later, an alleged police report for an incident that happened a few days after the murder would circulate online, showing that apparently someone had arrived at a hospital intoxicated, claiming to have killed FBG Duck. The story goes that Zell, in his overdose state, would actually tell the police about his involvement in the murder, giving the police many details that they would apparently go and use in the investigation to try and solve the case. Giving the police many details that his overdose...
Again, we're going off a Reddit post with 2 upvotes. Upvotes are like likes on Reddit. It got 2 likes.
State would actually tell...
And when you post a thing on Reddit, you get 1 like. Like, it automatically likes it for yourself. So, one other person agreed with him.
The police about his involvement in the murder, giving the police many details that they would apparently go and use in the investigation to try and solve the case. However, this rumor would seemingly turn out to be completely false, as the alleged incident report actually states that this person didn't match the description of any of the shooting suspects. And after being interviewed by the police, the man himself would admit that he had made everything up and enjoys taking credit for violent crimes he sees on TV. This would also be confirmed by the man's relative, who told that his behavior had spun out of control after the loss of his mother in 2015. Thus, ultimately, the police determined that the man would indeed have nothing to do with the murder of FBG Duck. However, regardless of the authenticity of this version of events, what was clear was that as time went on, Zell would initially seemingly be proud of what he had done. During the aftermath of Duck's murder, and likely during the time the FBI was starting up their investigation, Zell would try his hand.
So see, he just made that Reddit post and debunked it all in the same sentence. So what was the point of that 2 upvote Reddit post? What was the point of it being in
music, as he now had an event that fans and members would all know him for, with the murder of Duck giving him credibility in the streets to be taken seriously as a gangster rapper. On December the 23rd, 2020, C-Thang, Zell Munna, and Big Woney released a self-snitching anthem titled Jump Out. The song was a Jado Jump Out Boys group anthem, with 2 of their members now being notorious for the killing of FBG Duck, and the title of the track clearly being a nod to the Jado Jump Out Boys gang name.
Well, on December the 23rd, 2020, C-Thang and Zell would release that song, a track called Jump Out. And this is a wall-to-wall self-snitching anthem. It's got references to another body dropping, there being no ambulance to save them before they die, and the ops' mum crying. They say that they're ducking a bunch of times and hopping out of cars shooting ops. It's plain as day that they're talking about
we ducking from the car.
I'm telling right now, I'm gonna get it right now, you know? About shots fired, man down, no emblems, his ass died. His mama crying, don't get no fuck, we still slide. These niggas hoes, trying to use these hoes to get close. Bitch, you better know. That shit get back, you gon' get smoked. Bitch, we got the low. Better not be dangling, cause it's a go. Trying to up the scope.
about the murder of FBG Doug in great detail. Pretty brazen behavior from two people that can't even go live on Instagram without dozens of random people pointing out that they were the people that took Doug's life.
Now, this track was the only song officially ever released by Zell Munna. However, in the following months, leaks of other music that he had made whilst he was around begun to surface, such as his track with another member of the Duck Murder Squad, Muwop, with lyrics that seem to describe the actual murder of FBG Duck in detail, with him rapping, "It's still F63rd," and "Dude ass got left on the curb." It was clear that around this time, Zell had planned on making it as a rapper, and he now had the backstory that he needed to be respected amongst gangster rap fans. But at this point, the amount of trauma and loss that Zell had dealt with must have caused a huge decline in his mental health, with him sharing the sentiment on social media at the time, saying that he was traumatized by homicides, and that he was struggling to keep going, even saying how hard his life had been after losing so many people to the streets and jail. Dealing with the deaths of so many loved ones and being on both sides of the gun was clearly taking a toll on Zell. However, in the following months, Zell finally had some positive news that might have just changed the course of his life, giving him purpose and possibly shifting his values towards more being a family man, as Zell and his girlfriend were apparently expecting a child.
The betrayal.
Zell was in a relationship with a woman who went by the name Pretty Nia. Zell had been publicly sharing Facebook posts with her since early 2021, and the pair would express their love and share their relationship publicly during this time, with Nia claiming that they would be together forever and sharing a picture of them after announcing her pregnancy. Clearly, this would be exciting news for Zell, as he was seemingly a family man. If you look at his Facebook, there's a slew of images of him with his nieces and younger children in O-Block, with Zell even posting that he apparently loves kids. Zell was ecstatic, and he publicly shared clips of the baby shower for his upcoming child. And after discovering that he was expecting a boy, Zell would run around the park in excitement for his future son. He was clearly overjoyed to be starting a family. However, not long after this, Zell's mood would appear to change. Zell would begin making cryptic posts to Facebook, seemingly implying that he was having issues with his relationship and indicating that he'd been betrayed. He would say that someone fooled him twice and that he'd been hurt by a woman, and he would later to go on to remove all traces of the gender reveal from his social media, leading some to suspect that something had gone wrong. It would turn out that Pretty Nia had betrayed Zell, as she had not only been seeing other people at the same time they were in a relationship, but even worse, it would turn out that the father of that child was another man, another Chicago native and rapper, DCG Shun. DCG Shun is from Austin in West Chicago.
Shun? That's Shun? I didn't know that was his baby mom. What the fuck? Bro. Out of all people, bro. Him?
Chicago native and
a rapper like that, I know.
DCG Shun. DCG Shun is from Austin in West Chicago, something that he has shared very specifically because he doesn't want people to get...
Nah, bro. That is insane, bro. She really had this man at the fucking baby shower, the gender reveal party, hitting a fucking baseball. Oh, it's a boy running around the park. And it's not his.
Confused and think that he's from West Garfield, aka Chicago's most violent neighborhood. But anyway, he would later be seen posting images with that baby that was initially thought to be Zell's.
He's young as fuck too. I think he was only like 18 back then. Like, when was this? 2020? I found out about him like 21, I think. Yeah, it was 2021. He was only like 18, 19.
Following the birth of the child, DCG Shun will share a paternity test his Instagram story, proving that he's the father, with Pretty Nia also sharing pictures with her child and tagging DCG Shun, stating that she was missing him.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. You lose 3 cousins and everybody else around you like that, and you lost your baby, bro.
Allegedly, Zell had even been warned about his girlfriend messing with other dudes earlier, with this news being particularly heartbreaking for Zell, especially considering he had apparently planned to move out of O-Block with intentions to start his family and get a fresh start, possibly escaping the life of violence, trauma, and death he had fallen into as a gang member.
I'm moving out the trenches. I'm gonna follow that shit, boy.
He's from all the way out west, bro. That's
at least you know.
But discovering his betrayal would ruin his plans and send him straight back to a deep, dark place. Zell must have felt humiliated when this news got out, and for a known killer and respected member of O-Block to be publicly played like this, it probably represented a real attack on his manhood. Apparently, Zell had planned to start a new life with his new family, and he had shared multiple pictures with Nia, as well as the videos from the baby shower, showing his public excitement, all for a child that turned out not to be his. Now, I can't imagine how badly that must have felt, but after losing so many friends and relatives to the streets, something like this might just be the straw that broke the camel's back, and Zell was clearly going through it at this time, as can be seen from his Facebook activity, where he seemed to suggest that he couldn't take any more pain, and in late August, Zell would seemingly have enough.
killed himself in 2021.
On the 7th of September 2021, Zell Munna was laid to rest, and O Block members would be seen at the funeral paying their respects to Zell. And in footage seemingly taken soon after the funeral, numerous members were there on the scene, showing love to their fallen friend.
I already know what's going on, man. All that money. Zell money, man. Zell money, man. Big Zell, how you gonna do it, man? Know what I'm saying? That all is on me, man. It's back! It's back!
Let's do shoebox.
And I'm better like a roster. I've been running up that bag. I've been chopping up that top. On the street, get back. You know I'm with that. Long live, baby. What you run, can't forget half. On the back. I ain't trying to squash no beat. We into it till you die. Real street. Shoot up everybody that's outside. All that whiskey still twisting. These ain't something different. I got clipped by Mel Gibson. I'm pouring not empty. I don't scared to come around when I pop out outside. I done gave all that fun till I hustle down. That's crazy. Papa's doing all that whooping head.
Yeah, like Jay went crazy on that shit. This is the best song walking. Wait, Dirk was there? I see Dirk in the title.
Yeah, we had to do a bid for Love Bro friend. We had to do a bid.
Oh,
We had
you
to
know
do a
that.
bid. We had to do a bid. Everybody
All
with the
black.
all black on.
Wow.
I got that berry on. I already know though, Brody. Love you, Brody.
I love you too. I'm gonna leave with all these followers on live.
Travelos recently found me.
Oh, yeah.
What I react to? Fucking the Bronx Road shit or something. I remember I recorded that shit at like 8 a.m. bro.
Fucking gang. Get back, gang.
I woke up and recorded that shit all the way through 3 hours. Some
All
shit.
live, man.
In footage
Damn.
from the funeral service, we can actually see that Zell was buried right next to his cousin Slutty. However, interestingly, one chilling detail can be found on Zell Munna's obituary, because one person would actually sign the obituary guest book, writing BDK, or Black Disciple Killer, and LLD for Long Live Duck.
Damn.
By the Christmas holidays of 2021, Naya would post a photo shoot that she had taken with DCG Shun, showing that she had fully moved on and had built a new
Life
life
wild.
with the baby that Zell thought was his. Something that a lot of people thought was a very insensitive
looks
move,
evil.
considering that Zell had just passed through. Zell thought
Nah, look at her. It's fucking eyes, bro. Them big ass lashes.
was his. Something that a lot of people thought was a very insensitive move, considering that Zell had just passed 3 months before, with some commenters going as far as to say
gotta
that
live
she
life.
deserves the same treatment as the ops. Sadly, it would appear that Zell had taken one too many losses in a life of trauma. The year before, he would be cemented into O Block's history for being a part of FBG Duck's murder, earning his stripes as a true gangland assassin. And he had also been making music, beginning to gain considerable traction, with many fans anticipating him having a long and successful career. In his last ever Instagram Live, he would even mention how he's recently been active in the studio.
They don't know about that Zell.
Y'all think I'm just rapping that?
I'm proud of Zell. Got that
That's in the stew already.
Zell got that hot shit. You got that hot shit.
Hold the watch. I'm telling y'all, I'm finna start dropping. I'm going to the video on my birthday.
Sadly, we never got to see this situation play out, and from this lineage of infamous O Block savages, shockingly, 4 of them had now lost their lives. And in the end, only a month after Zell passed away, his friends and accomplices in the Duck murder would be arrested too. Chicago drill YouTuber and star witness Trench's News would even cover the fallout on his YouTube extensively, referring to those involved in the murder of Duck as the Sloppy Six. Muwop's lawyer would even
Is Bro vlogging his day on the witness stand
try
and shit?
claiming that it was actually Zell Munna who did the shooting, not him, trying to place the blame on his fallen friend and suggesting that Muwop never even made it to Oak Street where the shooting happened, instead suggesting that he was dropped off before the O Block members made it to downtown doing the murder and then dropping the car off back to the dealership.
So now Muwop defense is that Zell Money did everything. Muwop lawyer said that Muwop wasn't there at the dealership. He never made it to Oak Street. Basically what the lawyer trying to say is Muwop got dropped off. When they left out of O Block, they dropped Muwop off, and then they went downtown, killed Duck, went to the dealership, dropped off the car, man, and he was never in the car.
One of the O Block 6, Los, his baby mama, was actually apparently inside of the car, telling the court that it was Zell Munna, Muwop, and Los at the dealership returning the car after the crime had happened, with Zell even being seen outside that dealership on CCTV footage.
Los' baby mother was in that car. She picked them up. She claimed that she picked them up and she saying that it was Zell money, Muwop,
like bro,
and Los at the dealership.
Pissing me off.
Now Zell money dead.
Zell money dead.
And we don't see what Zell money did. We don't see none of that. We don't know what Zell money told them. We can't see it because he dead. They can't use his statements against him, so it's no need to put them statements out. But if that's the only defense that Muwop got, is that he wasn't there and he got picked up at that dealership from O Block.
Nah, he literally, like, I forget where he's from. He's actually from like a block. I don't know if he's from O Block or what, but he like basically because of his knowledge of like O Block and like he basically knows a lot of shit that happened in the streets, and he basically used that knowledge to get 131,000 subscribers, and now he used that knowledge in court because he knows like everything. Shit's stupid.
After he left O Block, he wasn't on Oak Street, but he made it to the dealership.
I don't think he purposely did that, but purposely showed his face. But I bet there's like videos out there.
Zell was apparently already in the car
That's some
before
shit.
TZ had called the other O Block members to let them know he had caught Duck, with Trench's News even claiming that Zell was apparently asleep in the car, high on a pill, with the other members just jumping in the
Yes,
car
dude.
and forcing him to participate in the killing, which he apparently did.
Zell money never got out the car. Only way you would know Zell money was there if, like the girl had told them, Zell money was at the dealership. Because you ain't see Zell money get in the car. Zell money was already in Lowe's car. He was high off a pill. He was asleep. So they woke Zell money up and told him, oh man, we got Duck. And then he just jumped up and participated in it. Zell money wasn't out the car though. He never was out the car. He was high. He was in the car when they pulled off and everything.
Who knows, if Zell hadn't participated in that hit on Duck, maybe his life would be far different today and he might still be here. Or maybe that situation with his ex-girlfriend would have happened no matter what. The only thing we can say for sure is that it seems that for everyone involved in the murder of FBG Duck,
Oh, you want to know something? Church's News, when he took the stand, like the first day he kept his mask on, but the second day he took it off or some shit. I don't know why. I think he said it was like
would come looking for them one way or another.
Everybody knew it was him.
To this day,
type
very
shit.
few people have managed to escape justice with their lives intact.
Oh, Davis over?
I hope you found that story interesting. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And rest in peace to everybody who I mentioned who lost their lives too young.
The first
type shit.
Warning, this video...
That was low-key a good video, but it was just drawn out. I feel like you could have made that video in 25, 30 minutes. There's a lot of shit that pointless. You know, T-Roy was savage when you see his fingernails. Because I don't think he cut his shit. Muwop could have been next out of O Block but threw his wife away to prove how tough he is. Ain't that simple, bro. Teaching his son the wrong shit. Tupac movie Juice and the TV show The Wire were supposed to be a warning, not a blueprint. Kids got it twisted. I might watch 6 Hour one.